Good morning, everybody. We're in Joshua chapter 22 this morning. I'm going to have my second sip of coffee. There we go. About 3 ounces of coffee in me. I'm ready. Grab up your Bibles. Turn to Joshua chapter 22. If you have the scriptures, that's roughly page 248. If you don't have the scriptures, I have no idea what page it's on. Joshua chapter 22. Then Joshua called for the Reubenites and the Gadites and half the tribe of Manasseh and said to them, You have guarded all that Moshe the servant of Yahweh commanded you, and you have obeyed my voice in all that I commanded you. You have not left your brothers these many days up to this day, but have guarded the charge, the command of Yahweh your Elohim. And now Yahweh your Elohim has given you to your brothers, has given rest to your brothers, as he promised them. So now return and go to your tents, to the land of your possession, which Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, gave you beyond the Jordan. And so remember that as the children of Israel were approaching the Jordan, Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh were like, hey man, it's nice over here, can we stay here? And Moshe was like, yeah, you can stay here, but listen, when it's time to go in and clean out the promised land, y'all don't get to hang out on this side of the river. And so Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh said, not only are we not going to just hang back, we'll go in first. And we will not rest until all of our other brothers have been settled in the land, and then we will go back. And so that's what's going on here. They're done. They've cleaned out the land, although they haven't. There's a couple of groups of people that, for example, Judah was commanded to clean out and didn't, and so forth and so on. We've already covered that in other books. But the fighting is done. So now, last page of the scriptures, y'all can't see this. I can't turn my hand that way. There you go. Okay, so Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh are on the east side of the Jordan. Everybody else is on the west. All right, so they are returning back to the inheritance allotted to them by Moshe, by Moses, on the east side of the Jordan. And I've got a star next to this in my Bible, verse 5. Only diligently guard to do the command and the Torah, which Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, commanded you, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to guard his commands, and to cling to him, and to serve him with all your heart and all your being your soul. And Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their tents. Now that reminded me of Matthew 24, which is where we're going right now. I'm sorry, Matthew 22, verse 34. Matthew 22, verse 34. But the Pharisees, having heard that he, Yeshua, Jesus, had silenced the Sadducees, were gathered together. And one of them, one learned in the Torah, did question, trying him and saying, Teacher, which is the greatest command in the Torah? And Yeshua said to him, You shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and the great command. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commands hang all the Torah and the prophets. And so, just an interesting parallel there. In fact, the first that Yeshua quotes is Deuteronomy 6:5. And the second is Deuteronomy 10:12. I'm sorry, Leviticus 19:18. So, there's an interesting parallel there between Matthew 22, verse 34, And Joshua 22, verse 5, only diligently guard to do the command in the Torah of Moshe. Only diligently guard to do the command and the Torah which Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, commanded you, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to walk in all his ways, and to guard his commands, and to cling to him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your being. And Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their tents. So just a little reminder there. Hey, we're done. Good job, everybody. Don't forget. Do all that stuff that Moses told you to do. It's a constant reminder. Hey, don't forget. Do all that stuff that Moses told you to do. This is played out over and over again, even throughout the New Testament. Hey, good job, everybody. Do all that stuff that Moses told you to do. Verse 7, and to half the tribe of Manasseh, Moshe had given possession in Bashan, but the other half of it, Joshua gave land among their brothers beyond the Jordan, westward. So when Joshua sent them away to their tents, he also blessed them, and spoke to them, saying, quote, return to your tents with great riches, and with very much livestock, and with silver, and with gold, and with bronze, and with iron, and with countless garments. Divide the spoil of your enemies with your brothers. And the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh returned, and left the children of Israel at Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan, to go to the land of Gilead, to the land of their possession, which they possessed according to the mouth of Yahweh by the hand of Moshe. So they're headed back to their land. And they came to the districts of the Jordan, which is in the land of Canaan, and the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh built a slaughter place there by the Jordan, a great conspicuous slaughter place. So, just again, to give you the context here, 9.5 tribes are on one side of the Jordan, the westward side, and on the east side of the Jordan, 2.5 tribes are over there. Well, 2.5 tribes are going back across the Jordan. When they get there, Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh, they build a huge conspicuous slaughter place. Well, wait a minute. The promised land is over there west of the Jordan. You see where we're going with this? And the children of Israel heard it and said, see, the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh have built a slaughter place opposite the land of Canaan in the district of the Jordan, at the border of the children of Israel. And when the children of Israel heard, all the congregation of the children of Israel assembled at Shiloh to go fight against them. So the children of Israel sent Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, to the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and to half the tribe of Manasseh into the land of Gilead, and 10 rulers with him, 1 ruler each from the chief house of every tribe of Israel, and each one with the head of the house of the father among the division of Israel. So, they're like, man, they set up this slaughter place over there. What's going on? Now, it's interesting to note that it says, and built a slaughter place there by the Jordan, a great conspicuous slaughter place. It does not say a slaughter place unto Yah. Okay? So, word gets back to the other 9.5 tribes. Hey man, our brothers are over there messing around, just built this giant slaughter place, this great conspicuous slaughter place. WTF. Well, the general population of Israel is all rallied up. They're like, we got to go slaughter these guys. We played this game already. Remember that golden calf bull crap? Sons of Levi, put your swords upon your thighs and go throughout the camp, north to south, east to west, and slay every man who's bent the knee to Baal, right? And so this is what's going through the mind of the children of Israel, the 9.5 tribes west of the Jordan. They're like, we got to go get our bros and go to work. Well, additionally, Phinehas, as well as the captains of these different households in these tribes, all the important guys, they basically send a, oh man, can't think of what I'm thinking about now. Group of people that you send to meet people. Not a contingency. They send a group of people over there to discern on a fact-finding mission what the hell's going on. Okay? So, verse 15, and they came to the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and to half the tribe of Manasseh to the land of Gilead and spoke with them, saying, Thus says all the congregation of Yahweh, what is this trespass you have committed against the Elohim of Israel, to turn away this day from following Yahweh, and that you have built for yourselves a slaughter place to rebel against Yahweh this day? They're like, what the hell are y'all doing? What are you doing building this thing? This is not Yah's slaughter place. What are you doing? Is the crookedness of Peor not enough for us, from which we have not been cleansed till this day, although there was a plague in the congregation of Yahweh, that you turn away today from following Yah? And it shall be, if you rebel today against Yahweh, that tomorrow he is wroth with all the congregation of Israel. They said, look, man, we just got done clearing out the land of all this pagan bullcrap, and we come over here, and you got this giant slaughter place set up. Not only is the Father going to judge you, he's going to judge all of Israel. We just played this game. We don't want your transgressions coming down on top of all the people. And indeed, if the land of your possession is unclean, then pass over to the land of the possession of Yahweh, where the dwelling place of Yahweh dwells. See, they're making a point here. They said, look, if this land east of the Jordan where you're set up is unclean, if it's polluted, pass over the damn Jordan again, come back over the river to the land of Yah's possession, the promised land, where we already have a slaughter place to Yah set up. Where the dwelling place of Yahweh dwells, and take possession among us. But do not rebel against Yahweh, nor rebel against us, by building yourselves a slaughter place, besides the slaughter place of Yahweh our Elohim. They go on to say, did not Achan, son of Zerah, commit a trespass in that which is under the ban, and wrath fell on all the congregation of Israel? And he was not the only one to die in his crookedness. So, just as a side note, Achan, you can go back to Joshua 7. And this is that dude, Joshua 7 verse 18, I think. And actually it goes back a couple verses before that. And it shall be that he who is taken with that which is under the ban is burned with fire, and all that he has, because he's transgressed the covenant of Yahweh, and because he's committed wickedness in Israel. So Joshua arose early in the morning and brought Israel by their tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. Brought the clan of Judah and from the clan of the Zarites, and he brought the clan of Zarites by men, and Zabdi was taken. And he brought his household by men, and Achan, the son of Carmi, son of Zabdi, son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, was taken. Then Joshua said to Achan, my son, now give glory to Yahweh Elohim of Israel, and make confession to him, and please declare to me what you have done, and do not hide it. So Achan answered Joshua and said, truly I have sinned against Yahweh Elohim of Israel, and this is what I did. When I saw among the spoil a lovely garment from Shinar, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold weighing 50 shekels, I coveted them, and I took them. And see, they are hidden in the ground in the midst of my tent with the silver under it. And so, to this point, the point that the Israelites are making in Joshua 22 is that to this point, here in Joshua 7, the Israelites were just mopping up the promised land when they went to battle. But now all of a sudden they can't fight. The children of Ai put them to flight. Well, that's because there was transgression within their midst. And this was this dude Achan. And 36 people died in combat because they did not have the blessing of Yah because of the transgression of Achan. So now what they're saying in Joshua 22 is, hey, we've already played this game where the Father removes his hand from us. We don't all want to die because y'all decided to transgress the Father. Interesting thought process there. All right, so back to Joshua 22, verse 21. Then the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh answered and said to the heads of the division of Israel, El Elohim Yahweh, he knows, and let Israel itself know. So this is their rebuttal. They said, look, Yah knows what we're doing here. Let us clue you in. If this has been in rebellion, or if it is in trespass against Yahweh, do not save us this day. If we have built ourselves a slaughter place to turn from following Yahweh, or if to offer ascending offerings or grain offerings on it, or if to make slaughterings of peace offerings on it, let Yahweh himself require it. Let he himself make us pay for it. But truly, from fear, for a reason we did this saying, and from fear is an interesting phrase because the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of understanding, right? Proverbs, right? They said, listen, man, we fear Yah, okay? For a reason we did this, saying, in time to come, your sons might speak to our sons, saying, what have you to do with Yahweh Elohim of Israel? For Yahweh has made the Jordan a border between us. Your children, you of Reuben and the children of Gad, you have no portion with Yahweh, so your sons would make our sons stop fearing Yahweh. What they're saying is, we got this giant river between you and me, and in years to come, our progeny, our offspring, may forget the fact that we went in before y'all and cleansed your land for you. And we did not stop fighting until you had a place to lay your heads. And then we came back out. We came back over here and we set up this altar, as we're going to see, as a remembrance, so that our sons see and remember and do and know that we fear Yah. And so that your sons, when they come across the water, see this altar to Yah and understand that we remember and do according to all that Yah has commanded. It's a remembrance. So we said, let us prepare to build ourselves a slaughter place, not for ascending offering, nor for slaughtering, but to be a witness between you and us and our generations after us. But to be a witness between you and us and our generations after us, to do the service of Yahweh before him with our ascending offerings, with our slaughterings, and with our peace offerings, that your sons should not say to our sons in time to come, you have no portion with Yahweh. They're saying, man, we're doing this as a remembrance so that our kids understand and so that your kids understand. Think about it today. If you're a member of the Baptist church, anywhere you drive around and you see a Baptist church, you should, and I'm not saying that you do, but you should more or less feel welcome, right? It's the same thing. They're saying, we're not, Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh are not saying, because remember, the tent of appointment, the place where Yahweh dwells, is now in the promised land. They're not building another altar saying that, hey, we're trying to say that that ordination is over here too. They're building another altar as a remembrance so that they remember and do the commands of Yah, and so that their sons see them and learn, and so that the sons of the 9.5 tribes across the river Jordan understand that when they cross the river into Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, that they are serving the same Yahweh, their Elohim. So that the argument can never be made that they are not. No, 28. So we said that it shall be, when they say this to us in our generation, in time to come, that we shall say, see, the pattern of the slaughter place of Yahweh, which our fathers made, though not for sending offerings, nor for slaughterings, but it is a witness between you and us. Far be it from us to rebel against Yahweh, and to turn from following Yahweh this day, to build a slaughter place for sending offerings, for grain offerings, or for slaughterings, besides the slaughter place of Yahweh our Elohim, which is before his dwelling place. We're not trying to replace the slaughter place of Elohim at the tent of appointment. We're just building a remembrance. And Phinehas, the priest, and the rulers of the congregation, and the heads of the thousands of Israel who were with him, heard the words that the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and the children of Manasseh spoke, and it was good in their eyes. And Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest, said to the children of Reuben and to the children of Gad and to the children of Manasseh, today we know that Yahweh is in our midst, because you have not committed against Yahweh this trespass. Now you have delivered the children of Israel out of the hand of Yahweh. And Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, and the rulers returned from the children of Reuben and the children of Gad from the land of Gilead to the land of Canaan to the children of Israel, and brought back word to them. So they went back to let them know what was up. So the matter was good in the eyes of the children of Israel, and the children of Israel blessed Elohim. And they spoke no more of going against to fight, to destroy the land where the children of Reuben and Gad dwelt. And the children of Reuben and the children of Gad called the slaughter place a witness between us that Yahweh is Elohim. (23) And it came to be a long time after Yahweh had given rest to Israel from all their enemies round about, that Joshua was old, advanced in years. And Joshua called for all Israel, and for their elders, and for the heads of their judges, and for their officers, and said to them, I am old, advanced in years, and you have seen all that Yahweh your Elohim has done to all these nations because of you. For Yahweh your Elohim is he who was fighting for you. See, I have divided you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes, from the Jordan with all the nations I have cut off, as far as the great sea towards the setting of the sun. And Yahweh your Elohim thrust them out before you, and shall drive them out before you, and you shall possess their land, as Yahweh your Elohim has promised. And you shall be very strong to guard, to do all that is written in the book of the Torah of Moshe, so as not to turn aside from the right or from the left. Straight is the way, and narrow is the gate, for the road to destruction is wide. And you shall be very strong to guard, to do all that is written in the book of the Torah of Moshe, so as not to turn aside from it right or left, so as not to go in among these nations, those who remain among you, and make no mention of the name of their mighty ones, their false gods, nor swear by them, nor serve them, nor bow down to them, but cling to Yahweh your Elohim, as you have done to this day. For Yahweh has driven out from before you great and strong nations. As for you, no one has stood against you to this day. One man of you put 1,000 to flight, for Yahweh your Elohim is he who is fighting for you, as he has promised you. And you shall diligently guard yourselves to love Yahweh your Elohim. Matthew 22:34. Guard yourselves to love Yahweh your Elohim. If that's not a one-liner, I don't know what is. But if you do turn back at all and cling to the remnant of those nations, these that remain among you, and intermarry with them and go into them, and they to you, know for certain that Yahweh your Elohim shall no longer drive these nations out from before you, and they shall be snares and traps to you, and a whip on your sides and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from this good land which Yahweh your Elohim has given you. And see, this day I am going the way of all the earth. And you know in all your hearts and in all your beings that not one word has failed of all the good words which Yahweh your Elohim spoke concerning you. All of it has come to you, and not one word of them has failed. And it shall be that as every good word has come upon you, which Yahweh your Elohim promised you, so Yahweh does bring upon you every evil word, until he has destroyed you from this good land which Yahweh your Elohim has given you. When you transgress the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he commanded you, and shall go and serve other false gods and bow down to them, and the displeasure of Yahweh shall burn against you, and you shall perish quickly from the good land which he has given you. Let's straight up Deuteronomy 28. If you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, then you will be blessed, and all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you. If you do not, then you shall be cursed. So this is just a little reminder from Joshua. He said, man, you guys have done good to this point. Don't F it up. I'm dying. I'm going back into the earth. I won't be here to remind you, so I'm making sure you guys understand before I'm dead. Don't mess it up. Keep doing. And you shall diligently guard yourselves to love Yahweh your Elohim. And it shall be that as every good word has come to you, which Yahweh your Elohim promised you, so Yahweh does bring upon you every evil word until he has destroyed you from this good land which he himself has given you. Don't get too big for your britches. Remember where you came from. He put you into this land and he can take you out of it again. Can you snatch me a bottle of water from over there, please? Thank you, sir. And we got one more page in Joshua, then we're done. Thank you. And so we'll do 24 as well, with a brief interlude for hydration. It's the nasal drip with the rain. Runs down the back of my throat. What do you need? Oh. It's still recording. They're taking a break. They're hydrating too. It's okay. Oh, tactical gato. Joshua 24. And Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem and called for the elders of Israel and for their heads and for their judges and for their officers. And they presented themselves before Elohim. And Joshua said to all the people, Joshua's fixing to get some. So this is his final word before he passes. So turn your ears on. And Joshua said to all the people, thus said Yahweh Elohim of Israel, long ago your fathers dwelt beyond the river, Terah, the father of Abraham and the father of Nahor, and they served other false gods. So I took your father Abraham, this is Yahweh speaking. So I took your father Abraham from beyond the river and caused him to go through all the land of Canaan and multiplied his offspring and gave him Isaac. And to Isaac I gave Jacob, Jacob, and Esau. And to Esau I gave the mountains of Seir to possess. But Jacob and his children went down to Mitzrayim. Then I sent Moshe and Aaron and plagued Mitzrayim as I did in their midst. And afterwards I brought you out. And I brought your fathers out of Mitzrayim. And you came to the sea. And the Mitzrayans pursued your fathers with chariots and horsemen of the sea of reeds. And they cried out to Yahweh, and he put thick darkness between you and the Mitzrayins, and brought the sea upon them and covered them. And your eyes saw what I did in Mitzrayim, and you dwelt in the wilderness a long time. And I brought you into the land of the Amorites, who dwelt beyond the Jordan, and they fought with you. But I gave them into your hand, and you possessed their land, and I destroyed them from before you. And Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, rose up and fought against Israel, and sent and called for Balaam, son of Beor, to curse you. But I refused to listen to Balaam, so he continued to bless you, and I delivered you out of his hand. And you passed over the Jordan and came to Jericho. And the masters of Jericho, the Amorite, and the Perizzite, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Girgashite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite fought against you. But I gave them into your hand. And I sent the hornet before you, which drove them out before you. Also the 2 kings of the Amorites, but not with sword or with your bow. And I gave you a land for which you did not labor, and cities which you did not build. And you dwell in them, and you eat of the vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. And now, fear Yahweh, and serve him in perfection and in truth, and put away the false gods which your fathers served beyond the river and in Mitzrayim, and serve Yahweh. And if it seems evil in your eyes to serve Yahweh, choose for yourselves this day whom you are going to serve, whether the false gods which your fathers served that were beyond the river, or the false gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But I and my house, we serve Yahweh. And the people answered and said, Far be it from us to forsake Yahweh to serve other false gods. For Yahweh our Elohim is he who has brought us and our fathers up out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage, from slavery, who did great signs before our eyes and guarded us in all the way that we went and among all the people through whom we passed. And then Yahweh drove out from before us all the people, even the Amorites who dwelt in the land. We too serve Yah, for he is our Elohim. And then Joshua said to the people, You are not able to serve Yahweh. You are not able to serve Yahweh, for he is set apart. He is a set-apart Elohim. A jealous El is he. He does not bear with your transgressions and with your sins. If you forsake Yahweh and shall serve mighty ones of a stranger, then he shall turn back and do you evil and consume you after he has been good to you. He's making the point again. Don't mess it up. You've done good to this point. Don't mess it up. Just because he's gotten you here, just because he's put you in the land, doesn't mean he won't take you out of it. And this gets right to the crux of the renewed covenant in Hebrews 8. So Hebrews 8, starting in chapter 6. This is the renewed covenant. The whole redeemed by the blood of Messiah thing. This is it. It is the quintessential argument for Christians, followers of Messiah. Hebrews 8, verse 6. But now he, Yeshua, has obtained a more excellent service, inasmuch as he, Yeshua, is also mediator of a better covenant, which was constituted on better promises. For if that first covenant had been found faultless, then no place would have been sought for a second. Why you keep trying to put yourself under that old covenant, Bear? That first covenant was not without fault. Indeed, let's keep reading. For finding fault with them, says Yahweh. With who? Wasn't with him. It wasn't with the covenant. It was with them. And to illustrate this point, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you had an apartment you rented to somebody, and they signed a lease, and they failed to pay the rent and wrecked the place, you're going to kick them out. And you're going to lease that apartment to somebody else. And that somebody else is going to sign the same lease agreement, make the same deposit, and have to abide by the same rules. And now that somebody else lives in your house, they signed your agreement, they are in covenant with you. It's the same lease agreement. And I'll show you that right here. It's the same lease agreement. For finding fault with them, he says, see, the days are coming, says Yahweh, when I shall conclude with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah a renewed covenant. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Mitzrayim, because they did not continue in my covenant, and I disregarded them, says Yahweh. They, the Israelites, did not continue in his covenant, and he disregarded them. Because this is the covenant that I shall make with the house of Israel. That I shall make with the house of Israel. Israel, Genesis 32. He who is striving with Elohim. He who has overcome with Elohim, and he who is ruling with Elohim. Not the nation state on the map. Not the Jews. Not the black people. Not the sub-Saharan African desert folk. Not the Israel. Striving with Elohim, overcoming with Elohim, ruling with Elohim. This is the agreement I have with those people. Because this is the covenant that I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahweh. Giving my laws in their mind, and I shall write them on their hearts. And I shall be their people, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall by no means teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, because they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them. Because I shall forgive their unrighteousness, and their sins and their lawlessness, I shall no longer remember. So the crux of the renewed covenant is that the Father's laws are in your mind and written on your heart. If you want to be covered by the blood of the Lamb, the Father's laws are in your mind and on your heart, and then he is your Elohim, and you are his people. And he does not remember your sins or your lawlessness. And then finally, verse 13, by saying renewed, he has made the first old. He, meaning Yeshua, has made that first covenant the old covenant. Now it becomes old as growing aged and near disappearing. Which people say all the time, see, you're not under that old covenant anymore. To which I would remind you, the crux of the renewed covenant is that the Father's laws are in your mind and written on your heart. But the point here is, meaning that it's the same lease agreement. It's the same house. It's just a different tenant. Praise Yah, there's just a different tenant. Because Yeshua himself says, I come first but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I'm here for Israel first. It's only in Acts chapter 10 that Peter has the conviction and the clarity after his vision that the gospel is for all people. And it goes out from there. Which is why Acts 10 pisses me off, because people don't read it in context and they say, see, Bear, I can eat swine belly. That's not what that vision's about at all. And if you don't believe me, read all of Acts chapter 10 and then read Acts chapter 11, which clarifies Acts chapter 10, just to make sure that you don't get all your stuff out of line in Acts chapter 10. But I disagree. So the gospel goes out to all people in Acts chapter 10. Praise Yah. It's the same lease agreement. His laws are written in your mind, and you have them on your heart, and then he is your Elohim, and you are his people. But the point here is that Israel did not continue in the Father's covenants, and he disregarded them. That's exactly what Joshua is warning against here in Joshua 24. Verse 20, if you forsake Yahweh and shall serve mighty ones of a stranger, then he shall turn back and do you evil and consume you after he has been good to you. And the people said to Joshua, no, but we do serve Yahweh. Then Joshua said to the people, you are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen Yahweh for yourselves to serve him. And they said, witnesses, indeed, we agree, bro. And now put away the false gods of the stranger which are in your midst, and incline your heart to Yahweh Elohim of Israel. And the people said to Joshua, Yahweh our Elohim we serve, and his voice we obey. And Joshua made a covenant with the people that day and laid on them a law and a right ruling in Shechem. And Joshua wrote these words in the book of the Torah of Elohim. He took a large stone and set it up there under the oak that was by the set apart place of Yahweh. And Joshua said to all the people, see, this stone is a witness to us, for it has heard all the words of Yahweh which he spoke to us, and it shall be a witness against you, lest you lie against your Elohim. Then Joshua sent the people away, each to his own inheritance. And after these events, it came to be that Joshua, son of Nun, servant of Yahweh, died 110 years old. And they buried him within the border of his inheritance at Timnath Serah, which is in the mountains of Ephraim on the north side of Mount Gaash. And Israel served Yahweh all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders who outlived Joshua, who had known all the works of Yahweh which he had done for Israel. And the bones of Joseph, which the children of Israel had brought up out of Mitzrayim, they buried at Shechem, in the plot of ground which Jacob had bought from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 kesita, that's right, and which had become an inheritance of the children of Israel. And Eleazar, son of Aaron, died, and they buried him in a hill that belonged to Phinehas, his son, which was given to him in the hill country of Ephraim. And that is the end of the book of Joshua. So the whole point of that, and I guess there's one more verse I got to read here that goes with this. The whole point of that is just because you're in the promised land doesn't mean your work is over. I would remind you that the children of Israel get to the promised land after 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. Then they go in and are at war for 5 years in the promised land just to settle the just to get all the evil out of the promised land. Just because you're in the promised land doesn't mean the battle's over. Caleb, the badass Caleb, says to Joshua, yo bro, I want that mountain. And Joshua says, Caleb, you're 85 years old. He was 40 when they went in to spy out the land. Then they wander for 40 years. Then they come back, he's 80 years old. They go into the promised land, they're at war for 5 years. After 5 years of war, in the promised land, if you can't see the freaking metaphor here, after wandering the wilderness for 40 years, they come to the promised land. They're at war in the promised land for 5 years. Then Caleb says, bro, I want that mountain as my inheritance. And Joshua says, there be giants up in them hills. The sons of Anak are up there. There's not one giant, but 3 giants. Caleb literally says, I am as good today as the day when Moshe tapped us on the shoulder and sent us in to spy out the land. Let's go. And that badass goes up the mountain with his boys. He's like, come on, boys, we got to go kill some giants. And they do. Kills 3 of them. As an 85-year-old man is like, all right, now we can rest. So just because you got into the promised land doesn't mean the battle is over. There's still literally and figuratively giants to slay. We are covered by the blood of the Lamb. The promised land, that's ours. That is our inheritance now. We're covered by the blood of Yeshua. Does that mean the battle stops? No. Israel literally means striving with Elohim, overcoming with Elohim, and ruling with Elohim. And depending on what facet of your life or what day it is, you can be all 3 of those things. Hell, I go through all 3 of those things in 10 minutes on certain things. Okay? The battle is not over. We don't get to rest on our laurels, and we don't get to abuse the grace of Messiah because we've made it to the promised land. We're in glory. And so that's what brings up this last verse, which is Hebrews 10, verse 26. Because I hear from a lot of people all the time, Bear, You shouldn't put yourself back under that law. We're covered by the blood of the Lamb. Roger, we are covered by the blood of the Lamb. You misunderstand Colossians 2 verse 14. But we'll go to Hebrews 10:26. For if we sin purposefully after we have received the knowledge of the truth, what is sin? 1 John 3 verse 4, sin is lawlessness. For if we are lawless purposefully after we have received the knowledge of the truth, remember, what is our half of the rental agreement on this house? Our half of the covenant, that the Father's laws are in our mind and on our hearts. For if we are purposefully lawless without the Father's laws on our mind and in our hearts, for if we are lawless purposely after we have received knowledge of the truth, who's the truth, the way, the truth, the life, Yeshua HaMashiach. If we are lawless purposefully after we have received knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a slaughter offering for sin. This is exactly what your Bible says. But some fearsome anticipation of judgment and a fierce fire which is about to consume the opponents. Anyone who has disregarded the Torah of Moshe dies without compassion on the witness of 2 or 3 witnesses. So that's the old covenant. Anybody who disregards the Torah of Moses dies without compassion. If we got 2 or 3 people say, yep, I saw him do it, cool, take him outside the gate, stone him to death. He knew the rules. Okay? How much worse punishment do you think shall he deserve who has trampled the Son of Elohim underfoot, counted the blood of the covenant by which he was set apart as common, and insulted the Spirit of grace? You think it's bad that you can be stoned to death outside the gate without compassion under the Torah of Moses? How much worse do you think you will receive when you disregard the work that Yeshua did on the timber for you to redeem you from that lawlessness in the first place? That's the point of this. Just because your ass got into the promised land doesn't mean the work is over. Doesn't mean you get to rest on your laurels. Doesn't mean that you can sin willy-nilly because you're covered by the blood of the Lamb. That is, biblically speaking, earmuffs, kids, bullshit. That's not what the Bible says. We do not abuse the grace of Messiah. So just because you're in the promised land doesn't mean that the work has stopped. It literally, for Israel, meant the work had just begun. Oh, we're here now. Cool, let's go to war for 5 years. Wait a minute, I thought it was the promised land. It is, but it's not just handed to you on a silver platter. You have to meet the Father's blessings with your actions. You have to guard to do. You can't just, it's not, here you go, be blessed. This is not Joel Osteen health, wealth, prosperity gospel. You have to get after it. And so we don't abuse the blood of Yeshua, even though we're covered by it. We don't willfully sin, even though our sins have been bought and paid for by his blood. And I bring that up. Joshua is an archetype of Messiah, same name. Yehoshua, Yeshua. It's like John and Jack, or James and Jimmy, right? It's the same thing. Robert and Bobby, Yehoshua and Yeshua, it's the same name. And one was the archetype of the other. This whole going to war for your people and leading your people into the promised land, redeeming them, and committing your people unto Yahweh your Elohim. Joshua did it. Yeshua did it. Praise Yah. We have Yeshua to make up for the busted POSs like this. So, good job, Bear Nation. We made it through Joshua. Shalom, y'all.